Welcome back to another episode of STL Real Estate Roundtable Podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Barr, CEO and team leader of Keller Williams Realty Chesterfield. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, Chloe Gerrity.
Hello.
Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me here on the podcast today.
Of course. I love getting to sit down, talk to other, real estate agents that are crushing it in the community. And it's just good to kind of get to know you even better. So
yeah,
excited.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in. What led you to a career in real estate? Like, what did you do prior and what kind of gave you the push to jump into this field?
Yeah. So I don't really think I've opened up this far back before when I've talked to people, but I was just sitting thinking about this earlier. I'm like, what kind of produced this work ethic? And then where did it, lead to? And I know you're a big sports person too. I grew up playing soccer big time. Like that was my identity. That was everything, the highs and the lows. I was committed. I was like, I'm going to play in college. I'm going to do this. Like I had all these big dreams. And I'm sure, with sports, there's a lot of ups and downs, but you're always competing with yourself. Obviously, you're competing against other people, but you're always kind of competing with yourself to be better than you were yesterday. And so because of that, like I just had this competitive drive that just kept on going from a very young age. And my parents were always just kind of in the market, always just looking at houses casually. And they would take me to a lot of their showings, a lot of the open houses. And most kids would be like, whatever, I'll go. But my ears would like perk up. Like I loved getting to go see these houses. I loved to literally guess the list price before I would go. And I was probably like 10 years old and I'd be like looking, because they had the real estate magazines back then. So you're flipping through these and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Okay, this one's like 500,000. This, and like, I'm literally so young and I'm like soaking this all in. And my dad, I think, was kind of like, this is interesting. Like, why is she so interested in this stuff? And, I think my dad is a entrepreneur himself, and he kind of saw that competitive edge for me. When it came to sports, I always wanted to be better than I had been yesterday. And he saw this like kind of unique passion I had at a young age for just houses in general in real estate. But I was convinced I was going to be an architect. And he was like, that's not what you need to do. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll do math, the occasional math and all that stuff for real estate. But he was like, you can love houses, but you don't need to be an architect. Have you thought about, real estate? I'm like, Dad, I'm like 12 years old. We don't need to talk about my future career path quite yet. And we kind of just, I still kept going to showings with them, doing all this fun stuff. And over time, I was like, this is really interesting. And little did I know, this was back when you could like purchase a URL and like hold on to it. Okay. My dad bought ChloeSellsHouses.com for me when I was little.
Oh my gosh.
Because he was like, he's like, if there is an off chance, and he knew me well, he's like, if there's an off chance that she becomes a real estate agent, I want to hold on to this for her.
She's going to want this website.
Yeah. Worst case, we'll sell it, whatever. So he held on to that, and now that's my URL for my website.
That's so cool. Yeah. What a cool story.
Yeah. So, I mean, he helped me get my internships. I mean, he was a big driving factor in that, obviously with the support of my mom. But yeah, so that's kind of where it all started.
Cool. So what year did you get licensed?
I got licensed in 2018.
2018, okay. And then I know a little bit of your story before then, but you were like interning at different offices, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So my dad was on a flight. Again, he's on a flight, going out to this business conference in California. Actually met an agent, a Keller Williams agent from Louisville. He was like, my daughter, I would really like to get her a connection in St. Louis for real estate, maybe an internship or something. And I'm thinking, I'm going to come home from a zoo and I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm not working. I'm not doing anything, whatever. I worked at like Cybergs, but I was like, I don't need an internship or anything like that. And my dad comes back. He's like, I found a great connection for you in St. Louis, and you are going to go work there, and it's going to be great. And I'm like, what? Okay, I figured this would all happen after college. And he's like, get an internship. You will thank me later. And so I did. I started interning for Dawn Krause and her team as a freshman, and learned so much from her. I just watched everything she did, and I was like, she's a rock star. And I mean, I'm like this little blonde college girl, and she's like this big blonde badass, like, just crushing it. I'm like, okay, like I want to be her when I grow up, Right. And so that I just thought that was so cool, and I kind of watched everything she did throughout college, and then I ended up interning with Elizabeth Ulrich too, and helped kind of get her team moving and going. And I was like, this is great. Like these women are killing it, and obviously there's so many men doing phenomenal too. But just to be another woman and see these other women crushing it, and I was in the Chesterfield Keller Williams office, and I'm just taking it all in. I'm like, look at all these people, Cheryl Deskin, like all these people at the time just wandering around doing their thing. And I'm like, I can't even keep up with them. They're just crushing it. And it's just like, it's getting my adrenaline going talking about it. Like it just got me so excited. And I was like, I have to get licensed.
Yeah. So obviously you're extremely successful. Like what led to your like early success in the industry? What do you feel, what can you attribute that to aside from your work ethic? And
so again, this is another thing I've never shared. So I'm a little nervous to say it. But I was telling my husband, I was like, I need to bring this up at some point. After Mizzou, I decided I actually wasn't going to go back to St. Louis. I was going to go live in Chicago. I was dating someone at the time that lived there. I'm like, maybe I can do real estate there. I don't know what. I was just, after college, you have all these like weird dreams or whatever, aspirations. So I went and got a job for a real estate company there as an admin. Well, I was told I was going to be an admin. I went through the interview process, all these things, and my first day on the job, it's like Gold Coast, Michigan Avenue, a pace of life I'm not used to because I'm from Chesterfield and Wildwood. Mm-hmm. First day on the job, they put me at the receptionist desk. I was like, this is not what I interviewed for. And they're like, no, you're still going to get to be an admin, but we do want you greeting people, and we do want you taking care of all the agents and all this stuff. And I'm still kind of like, this is still not everything I agreed to, but okay, whatever. God gave me this card. I'm going to work with it here. And, I'm sitting there in overtime. I'm kind of starting to get frustrated because I loved watching the agents and seeing what they were doing. But I'm like, I want to get licensed. Like, I want to do what they're doing. I want to be in control of my schedule. And full transparency, I wasn't being treated the best by my boss there. And so I was kind of sitting there and it kind of frustrated me. And I was just like, I deserve more than this. Like, I felt like God had bigger plans for me. I knew that he had me in that spot for a reason because he doesn't put you anywhere that he doesn't plan on you being. But I was like, this is not where I'm supposed to stay. It was a tough time. It was hard to get a job. Resume wasn't super built up yet because I just graduated from Mizzou. And so I ended up staying there for about 2 years. And each day I was just kind of getting more and more frustrated. Like, why can I not be doing what they're doing? And getting licensed in Illinois is a whole other ballgame. It's very different than Missouri. And I didn't know what my future was. And one day they came to me and they were like, we are downsizing our office and you're going to be one of the first people to go. And I was like, okay. I have this degree from Mizzou. I worked so hard for it. I'm here in a city I'm not from. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Like, God, what is going on? And like, little did I know, God was literally like, this is what you wanted. You didn't want to be here anymore. And you want to get out of your situation. So I had to force you out of it. And I'm like, thanks. Like, that's how he does everything in my life. Meanwhile, while I'd been working there, I'd also been working for First Form and learning a lot about social media, selling a lot of the products on my Instagram. I had gotten different certifications for nutrition and fitness. I was coaching people. I have a huge passion for fitness as well. So I was doing that on the side and learning a lot about sales, taking care of people, understanding, people behind the screen too, what their wants and needs are, not just selling them a product, but like, what is it that they emotionally need? What do they need for them and their family? Things like that. Like these people coming to me that, they're not happy with themselves. Things aren't going great for them. They want to be around for a long time for their kids. Like, I was there to help them. Like, here's some things I'd recommend, like these amazing First Form products, and also coaching them, physically and doing those things too. So I learned how to care about people, meanwhile, but I'm still sitting in this job. I wasn't happy. And so it was just a weird kind of how everything transpired. And I left that job and called my parents. I'm like, I don't know what to do. They said, you need to move back to St. Louis. You have to have a job. So I moved back here and connected with my friend Madison, who was like, you absolutely have to get licensed. It's time. Like, let's go. And so I got licensed, and I was able to just kind of bring everything I learned from working with First Form, which was a huge blessing because I learned so much about social media. I was being coached on really, really cool things there. Just tie that in with this like fire I had for not getting to work in that office and kind of not being treated how I thought I was going to be. Yeah. All that kind of came together, and God just freaking used it. Yeah. And now that's kind of where my business is.
That's awesome. So, right now, obviously having a great year, like what's working for you right now? And then what's a challenge that you're currently working through in your business to make it even better for 2025?
Yeah, great question. So what's working for me right now is that I've always been a people person. I love to be around people, and it comes naturally. It's not forced. because of that, I've recently discovered that my business can literally be showing up and surrounding myself with people that I don't know and getting to know them, showing up in my community. It started off as, scheduling things to go to, obviously, because, that is the kind of systematic side of it all. But once you get there, just like enjoying yourself, talking to people, talking to them about real estate, what they do, why they love St. Louis. You learn about people and that community aspect. That's where I'm really trying to focus on in my business, and that's going so well, and I'm meeting so many people.
Yeah.
The challenge is I overcommit to everything, and
hard time saying no.
Yes,
right?
And I'm sure you get that because you're a hustler too.
Yeah.
When you have this mindset of go, 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 and thank God I had my baby girl because she is slowing me down in all the best ways.
Yeah.
But I also want to provide for her this incredible life. So it's like this constant battle in my head. So I would just say that is the challenge I struggle with. I know that sounds like the typical answer you say in an interview. Like, what's your biggest, flaw? Well, I work too hard. But I do work too hard. And I'm still trying to find, and Robin on my team would tell you the same thing. She's always like, Chloe, let's slow down, But I'm just trying to find that happy balance of when I can slow down and when it's okay to ramp things up.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of agents struggle with, especially agents that are, successful and they sell a lot. It's
their motor is always.
It's a delicate balance. You can't turn it off, and we're in an industry that moves very quickly.
Yeah.
And even if the market is shifting to more of a skill-based market, it's still you have to be ready to take advantage of opportunities when they're there. And
yes.
So that's definitely a challenge that I think you're not alone in.
Yeah. So, well, and it's you might get a phone call 7 p.m. and people would say, well, ignore it, you're with your family. But my mind goes to all these things of, well, what if it's $1 million listing? Or what if it's just a family that wants some help and this is the only time they can call? It is hard to kind of navigate that. So I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. So you have your daughter, Gracie.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about shift in your business or anything that's had to change since becoming a mom.
Yeah. So it's so funny because I grew up, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. Huge blessing. I got to see my dad hustle and work hard, and he was still very present at home too. But I also had a mom that was always around at home. So in my brain, I'm like, how can I be both? And so that has given me so much perspective. It has been hard. Again, I'm sure you get it because your schedule changes, and there's this little human you're trying to keep alive, but you also love the heck out of them. And she does do daycare a few days a week, so that does give me some time. But man, when I go and drop her off at daycare and I see all these other moms walking in there, I'm just and they're holding 10 diaper bags. And I'm just man, my real estate stuff is hard, but look at you guys go. It gives you so much perspective. Right. And, we do want to have another kid or two. But it has really, it is challenging. It's not easy. There have been moments where I'm am I meant to be just a mom? But I do feel my husband's always you can be both, just let's find that balance for you. And I think I'm just trying to navigate. It has taught me, this is so funny, but having a baby girl, I've always cared so deeply about people, but now I'm looking at people as more than just my client. Not even more than, I've always looked at people as more than a client, but just them as they are made in the image of God. I got to take care of them, because I looked at my baby daughter and I was just oh my gosh, this is such a blessing. Not everyone has this. I know you get it. Not everyone gets this blessing. I get chills talking about it. So I look at people now as how God looks at us is how we looked at that little girl.
Yeah.
So how can I take care of these people, Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. I resonate with that a lot. So shifting gears a bit. So you mentioned your, kind of strategy with social media, how you learned, how to be successful there. You're in the process of building a team, right? So you have one team member plus do you have a virtual assistant as well?
Right now, I don't.
Right now, you don't. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about, because I think a lot of people watching this, they're at a point where they're should I hire help? I have too much business to service myself, and I want to hire someone that's quality, that I trust, different things like that. So talk me through how you find quality people for your team, and then how you pour into them, and how do you attract talent and keep talent?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is you can't just look for someone that is like-minded in the way that they're just like you. Because if you have another you, it's kind of like a relationship. For so long you think, oh, I need to marry someone that's just like me. And then you realize real quickly, you have these gaps, and everybody has these gaps, and you want somebody that maybe doesn't help fill all of them, but is able to fill some of those gaps that you can't, and you work really well together. So that's kind of where, I've been with, who I want to bring on my team. I want to be very picky, but I also want someone, I would say the one thing I do want them to really have in common that is passionate to me and with me is that they are present in the community, because, our team is really big on St. Louis. Like, I grew up here, Robin grew up here. Yeah. We are passionate about it here. And so that is the number one thing that I really want to emphasize. Other than that, I kind of want people to just like show up and be who they really are, but it does have to obviously mesh well with the team structure. But yeah, showing up in the community, honesty is huge. Robin and I, like, it's so funny when we first started like talking, because she was my buyer at first. Okay. And I worked with her. I kind of got to see how she was with stuff, and she's like really on top of everything I was already on top of. I'm like, okay, like I like how you work and stuff. And she, when we first started working together, she's like, just, I'm very honest. Like, I'm not going to hide anything. I'll tell you exactly. Like, I don't sugarcoat stuff. And I was like, perfect. That's how I am too. Because I spent so much of my life doing that, and I'm like, things build up and it's just not healthy. And so on our team, it's like very honest, like very upfront. Yeah. And if someone is off or having a bad day, we'll tell each other like, hey, I'm not doing this today. Like, I need time with my baby. I got to, slow down. Also, something that's so great, she has a daughter too, Olive, who is a little over a year. I guess it was like a year and a half now. So we get each other. We can relate, and not like you need to have a kid if you come onto my team. But right now that is something that's present, and it's been really helpful, us understanding that balance is really important. And even if you don't have a child and you come onto the team, and I will always emphasize family. And so that's something that that's really important to us too, for sure. So
that's awesome. So talk to me a little bit about like where you see the market heading next year, and kind of any changes that you've seen so far.
Yeah. So again, I'm probably saying all stuff that you already know, but coming out of the last 4 years, my adrenaline is like, I was just telling Matt this, it's just like this still. Like, I'm still learning to like slow down and breathe, because like the second something goes on the market, my brain tells me, okay, what are you going to have to do? Remove this, do all this stuff. And it's like, no. Market's regulating. We don't necessarily need to do that now. You may have to every now and then, because there's still these random houses that are super hot.
There's pockets that are still crazy.
And it's funny because like in that pocket, a house may be super hot one day or super hot one weekend and sell right away. And the house next door the next weekend, for some reasons, everything is the same as that other one, but it's sitting. Right. So what I'm trying to like teach or educate my buyers on, or my potential buyers, people that, have reached out to me, is that this is kind of an unknown market. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. And I will always tell people, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, no one does. People can sit here and say they do. Right. But based on the last 4 years, we didn't see all that coming prior. And that's the blessing. I was licensed before the COVID market, so I kind of got to see the difference. But what I tell people is I'm still going to be here to help you steer, drive, navigate all of this. It's my job to get out in front of it before you do. So even though none of us can predict what's going to happen in the next few years, I'm still constantly researching, talking to other agents, talking to other lenders, talking to brokers, getting ahead of it so that I can at least be prepared for, even the next day. Oh, this is going to happen in this area, stuff like that. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I am doing everything I can each day to get in front of it for the buyers as they continue to ask me questions.
100%. As any good agent would, right?
Yeah.
So you're very passionate about St. Louis, specifically like Wildwood, Chesterfield, like where you grew up. So talk to me about like your favorite things about St. Louis and, just what you love about the city.
Yeah. So little did I know when I lived in Chicago, I was moving there to like do my thing and like prove that I didn't need to stay in St. Louis. And the whole time, all I could do was think about how much I missed it here. You have all these Cubs fans that are like, saying stuff to you, and you get so defensive for your town. And I'm like, no, I'm a Cardinals fan, like all this stuff. And
you're like, ask me what high school I went to. Ask me what high school.
Literally, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
I could talk about that all day. Yeah. But I got back to St. Louis and I was like, game on. I love it here. I'm ready to be like just showing everybody how passionate I am about this town. And so I would say my favorite thing is that, and some people say this is the thing they don't love. I love that everybody somehow knows each other. I love that
you're like one connection away.
Yeah, like my dad grew up in Columbia, and my mom grew up in North County, which was kind of its own little, it still kind of is its own little town over there. So I'm from a family, my brother lives in Hermit, so I'm from a family that values kind of the small town, feels getting to know everybody, being friends with someone who knows your family, like all sorts of stuff like that. And so It's funny because St. Louis still feels like that to me. Like the more I'm here and the longer I'm here, obviously I grew up here, but the longer I continue to live here, I'm learning that everybody still knows each other and there's connections to everything. And like, I've been a member at 3 different F45s and somehow all the members, know each other and their family from this area. I don't know. It's just, I think that's so cool. And it's such a great way. It's great for networking, great for marketing your business. I'm sure you picked up on that being here, but that is my favorite thing. And I love how passionate people here are. We can get a little fiery about stuff, sports, but in high schools. But I do love the passion, and you can really feel it when you're here.
Absolutely. So what is I think a lot of agents, they struggle with social media. They decide, should I put myself out there? Should I not? Like, what is kind of your social media strategy? And like, how has that impacted your business?
Yeah, so it's funny because I know some people are and Robin's even been like, what is your like how do you plan stuff? Because Robin is a planner girl. She writes and I'm organized, but I am not like that. And I wish I was. I wish I had some when people ask you for your testimony and, some people have really cool testimonies and you're like, I've always known Jesus.
Mine just feels a little plain, right?
Yeah, and that's how I feel with this. I started off, what I learned from First Form was really important, connecting with people, showcasing what you're able to do to help them. But I kind of looked at Instagram as this is the new version of our website. Now, I do think websites are very valuable. And there are obviously some people's Instagrams where it's more of a diary for them. And I think that is awesome because I love watching the day in the life stuff, all that stuff. And I do try to share some of that. But for me, I was like, how can I show people what my business is, what I have been able to do for families in certain areas, connect with them emotionally. But my social media isn't, you're not going to go there and learn every single thing about my family or my family members or my best friends, stuff like that, which there is value in that 1,000%. I'm a little more private with that stuff because I don't want my, I was even just telling Matt with Gracie, I don't want to post her face all over social media. I'm not in a place where I'm ready to do that. But I do find a lot of value in sharing what I've been able to accomplish and just how I've been able to help people. Another blessing in disguise, my degree at Mizzou was mass media communications.
Cool.
I thought I was going to be in sports broadcasting. I'm still, that would still be such a cool thing to get to do. But I learned a lot about talking in front of a camera, communicating things to people, communicating how much I cared about them, listening, just communication in general. That was something that was so important, but I also learned a lot about media and how you do that, via social media, all that stuff. And so that's kind of what I use this platform for is to capture families, people, whoever moving to the area and educate them on St. Louis. I want people to be able to click on my page and be like, oh, I didn't know that about that area. Like, I still like to share, fun restaurants to go to, stuff like that. But you're going to come to my page and you're just going to see that I'm passionate about where I live, where I'm from. I'm here to educate you. And these are the families who I've been able to help. And I think that's what makes me different than some of the other pages that are floating around the St. Louis area.
Absolutely. You got to be able to stand out in a sea of sameness, I say.
Yes.
Right. I mean, so many agents to pick from. I think the stat is the average person knows 13 agents. So how do you stay top of mind? How do you, be the person that people think of whenever they're ready to buy or sell?
Yeah, and that's why I do try to show up in my community a lot, and I share a lot of those different communities I'm showing up in. Example, I don't know if you know Wyatt Mormon, but he is a chiropractor here in St. Louis, and he and I are good friends, and we love to hype each other up on Instagram, and we're in totally different communities, but when we hype each other up, there's other realtors that have reached out to me about going and seeing him because they're seeing my stuff, or even my past buyers or sellers. They see that, well, there's people that are in his community of more fitness. He's like the chiropractor that works with a lot of First Form people. So they're seeing his stuff and they're seeing us together and they're like, oh, let me go follow Chloe's page. And so it's cool, these collaborations and just, getting to do that, be in the community. People see that and then they want to kind of learn more about who you're showing up with.
100%.
And I think that's really cool. I'm so passionate about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So give me your top 3, either I know you love coffee too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so top 3 coffee spots or restaurants in St. Louis.
Okay, so...
Or would you like to just go West County?
Ooh, but my favorite coffee place is downtown.
Okay, we're just going...
I think you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I know. You're going to say Omen.
Yes.
Yep, I do.
So Omen is my favorite coffee spot. I do love Upshot, if I'm in St. Charles County, because when I'm in St. Charles County, I can't always, make it downtown. But I love Omen. I love supporting them. I'm a huge... My husband's going to see this and be like, she's so bougie. I love Annie Guns. Like, I love Annie Guns, and I'm not just trying to spend that money all the time. But my husband and I like to go and sit at the bar there, talk to the bartenders, get to know them, and they're like, we love doing that, and just having a drink and having like some oysters or something. But I love how authentic that place is. I just did a video on it because I love Annie Guns so much. People are going to have sticker shock when they see this because they're going to see how much the things cost there. I'm not encouraging you to go and spend lots of money, but just pop it. Have you been there before?
Yeah.
I love like the old like pub feel in there. It's super historic. I'm a history nerd. That building has been there since like early 1900s.
And now they have the new addition on the side and the back too.
Yeah.
Which is like
it's
super
so
nice.
cool. So I sound like I'm obsessed with Annie Guns. I just love it. The food is so good.
It's great.
Third place, I would say popping in anywhere in the district is really fun. Obviously you live close to there too, so that's been really fun to go over there. But this is St. Charles County. Friendship Brewery is such a special place to my family. We our family business is down by Friendship Brewery in Wentzville.
Okay.
And if you ever pop in, even if you don't like beer or anything like that, their food is so good. They usually have live music. There's a great atmosphere, and like again, Wentzville is such a small little community there. Everybody knows each other, and it's such a fun place to go and hang out. So.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So check those places out.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions I should have asked you that I haven't?
No, but I feel like I need to be asking you questions.
Sure, go for it. Go for it. I'm an open book.
Okay, well, really cool.
What we got? We'll switch seats here.
Yeah, I would say, what's been your favorite part about living in St. Louis? Because you grew up close to St. Louis, right? But not necessarily.
Not really. I mean, I grew up in a small little farm town in central Missouri.
Okay.
Called California, Missouri.
I've heard of it.
And so we had drive your tractor to school day. Loved small town community. Loved growing up in that small town. Just learned the importance of like hard work and
well, I'm sure
relationships and different things like that. So loved where I grew up, and then graduated from Truman State. My wife and I, we moved to St. Louis, and we've been here since. So we moved here in 2020. We got married in 2020, and that's when we called St. Louis home, and so we've been here ever since. But I do like it. It's like the biggest small town you'll ever find. Which I've heard multiple people say that, and I think it's definitely true. Like, you are just like one connection away from knowing someone. So that's been really cool because it still kind of feels like the small town. And
so you've made your mark here pretty quickly, which is cool. I mean, I don't know if you'd sit here and say that, but I've noticed that, and I think it's cool because you've showed up and you started freaking hitting the ground running, and you're hustling. And I mean, like, even my friends in my Bible study,
Matt and Marissa.
Yeah, they said that they used you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Jaden, like, that's awesome. So they're wonderful.
They're awesome people. Yep, some of my favorite past clients for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I got started in real estate in 2020, and so all I've known is crazy. So seeing the kind of shift in the market has been, definite learning experience.
Yeah.
And
you showed up right when things are fun.
Yeah, learning alongside everybody else. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's I love St. Louis.
And your church is great.
Yeah. Church community is amazing. That's been a huge blessing for us, and just getting connected with other people that, the most important thing is, the relationship with Christ, and, having that community and for encouragement, because life gets lifey sometimes, right?
Yes.
So that's been huge.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. You're doing great. So it's fun to keep up.
Thank you. Okay, so I ask this question to every guest.
Okay.
I believe that readers are leaders.
Okay.
Okay, and if you don't read, that's totally okay.
Uh-oh.
We'll switch the question up. But what's been one of the most impactful books or podcasts that you've read? It can be professional, it could be personal, it can even be fiction. I had a guest say a fiction book because it just gave her a way to unplug from real estate and all the craziness.
Okay.
So, you have any impactful books?
Okay, so this is going to sound so bad. I don't have a ton of time to read, and so I just listen. And this isn't one specific podcast, but just someone I love to listen to and love to hear everything that they have to say. I follow them so intensely, go to their conference every year, but Tom Ferry.
Okay.
I love listening to him. I love listening to what he has to say. I've learned so much about real estate from him, and I just started going to his conference. The last 2 years I've been going in Dallas, and it's cool because you listen to someone over, the phone, radio, whatever, and then you go and you see them in person, and they're out there talking. It kind of humanizes like who they are.
Yeah.
And you realize like, man, like everything they're saying, you knew it was really impactful, but when you see them as a human, you're like, they learned all this because they are a human too, and it worked for them.
Yeah.
And it kind of helps you relate to them, and then it helps you believe that you can also accomplish it. Yeah. So I don't know if you follow him super closely, but yeah, I've loved going to his conferences, listening to him, following along on his Instagram. I've been really trying to mirror a lot, not every single thing, but a lot of the things that he has said. And he's really good at predicting how things are going to turn out. So a lot of the things that he has suggested doing for your business, things like that. It's so funny because you think you know everything, and then a light bulb goes off and you're like, there's still so much to learn, you know?
Yeah.
And
that's
so
another cool thing about this industry is like you're always learning, like things are always changing. And so there's never a dull day in real estate.
Yeah, I know. He's really been talking about AI and stuff lately, and that's such a like hard subject for me to like get into, but it's good. You know, again, he's the human up there talking about this, and it's working for him. So some point gonna have to implement some of those things.
Right.
But yeah, I love following along with him and listening to him and everything he has to say.
Cool.
So.
Awesome. Well, any other topics that we should hit on?
No, I mean, I love my job. It's so much fun. I'm passionate about it. I love being a real estate agent. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Chloe, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, of course.
And we will see you on the next episode.